I like smoking weed. There was a point where I couldn't smoke it as much as I liked because my anxiety.
Okay.
But I found my strain, and now I'm back to enjoying weed. I also like to have a drink every now and then. I wouldn't describe myself as a lush, but when I do drink, I like to get smashed. I do. I like to
What's
jam.
the point? Not like throw up though. Like you want to be like
No,
throwing up.
yeah,
Yo, because
yeah.
you know you've been to those parties where people are like, "Oh man, I'm totally throwing up tonight."
Ugh,
I know you've been to
ugh.
those parties.
Yeah, but that's
I know you've been to those
gross.
parties.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why do you want to
like
do that?
I'm the same though. I don't understand the people who can just drink and like they're not really feeling anything from it. Like I need to feel the buzz
Yeah,
from it. I need
thank
to
you.
feel the buzz from it. Or why am I drinking? I could just have a
What
glass
is
of water.
yeah? What is the point here?
Yeah.
You know, Quebec. Pourquoi? It's not. Anyways, you get what I'm
That's
saying.
the extent of your French. I know it is.
Je m'appelle. Quebec. They're really pushing the vaccinations home, and I understand not being. I don't even say the establishment because I know it's close to home for you. But there's certain establishments you cannot enter unless you're vaccinated, and to me, some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. But cannabis stores, liquor stores. I can't buy drugs, weed. I can't buy spirits, alcohol, unless I'm vaccinated.
Yeah, man. Quebec, as of
I
January
mean,
18th, this is not even a rumor. This is like actually happening in Quebec. As of January 18th, you need to be fully vaccinated in order to go to weed dispensaries supported by the government or any liquor establishments, which are all of them in Canada. So
I feel like the essay with the pager, the guy you used to get your weed from back in the day. I feel like that might come back into style. I also feel like, some bootleg liquor. I don't know if you watched The Simpsons, but they had an episode where Mo was
yep.
selling alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, or I could be wrong because apparently their vaccination appointments went from 1,500 to what, 6,000?
Yeah, they spiked. They spiked. Now they don't have to worry about their ICUs because the vaccination centers are the ones that are overflowing with people now. Of course, it's something where, this is how I'm going to put it. Every time, and I told you, we've spoken about this in a video before, right? So when I was working where I was working, every day people would come in and they would tell me about Quebec and how Quebec locked down. And do we think that we're going to be locking down soon because of what Quebec does? And as a word from one of the members is that they're like, every time Quebec does something, it happens in Ontario. So I'm wondering if this flies or how this goes now, if they decide to bring this to Ontario, because it's true. A lot of the things that have happened in Quebec have happened there as almost like they're the testers of it.
Right.
They test it out to see how it works. And then a few weeks later, other provinces start following suit. So if they bring this to Ontario, I mean, shout out to the dealers out there because I'm pretty sure their pockets have been hurt since these dispensaries have been
Straight
popping up
up.
all over the
Straight
place,
up.
right? So,
Time for a
so the dealers
resurgence.
dealers about to rise again. They're about to
Yeah.
rise like a phoenix from the ashes.
you
They ain't
know,
gonna stop.
what's interesting about this move though is I look at what they're closing down or closed down as far as can't get in without a vaccination or just effects of the lockdown. And then I also look at the schools.
Right.
So might be popular, unpopular opinion, but I don't think this is a bad look. It's a hold on, let me finish. It's a weed dispensary.
I didn't even say anything.
Oh, I thought you were gonna, I
I,
know
I
you
just,
and your
I,
ganja.
I just,
You're
damn, homie.
you're very pro weed.
Damn, nigga. Damn,
Okay,
nigga.
so I don't think this is a
I'm
bad
gonna let
thing.
you finish. I'm a Kanye West you.
I don't think it's a bad thing. It's weed. It's alcohol, for goodness sakes. I think if you want to close anything because of a lockdown, I think if you want to, in order to enter anything, you should have a vaccine pass. I think it should be a dispensary or an alcohol store. I think it's still stupid, but if you were going to apply that to anything, it should be that. So in other words, in order of importance, I think the attention should be how do we keep schools open? You can't have a bar open, but the schools are closed. That makes no sense to me. Of course, it's going to be more challenging to keep a school open than a bar, but laser focus that bitch and then work your way down. I think gyms should be open. I actually do. I
Right.
actually do. Because if you know anything about the immune system, your immune system is impacted by things like what you eat. I don't know, a crazy thing called exercise.
Right.
So if a gym can stay open, I think these things should be open. So the fact that bars are open, schools are closed, gyms are closed, that it doesn't make that to me doesn't really make sense. Right? So liquor store, weed dispensary, I don't want to see it closed down, but I think if you had to close anything down first or put a vaccine pass on it, it should be that.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you've been on any type of social media, that's the one thing everybody says. Why are we closing down schools and da 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 and keeping the LCBO open or the dispensary? Well, I don't hear a lot of people saying dispensaries, but more about the LCBO. Why are you keeping that open and you're closing schools? So if this does come, are people allowed to complain? Because this is kind of what you asked for. I know you did also ask for the schools to be open as well, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers in this situation. Can you really be negative about this? I mean, it's gonna suck if it does come over here. I can't imagine what it's like to live in Quebec. I am so glad that I do not live in Quebec. As bad as people feel like it is in Ontario, it's worse there. Like they're on curfew already.
Yeah.
Went to lockdown before we did, and now they're shutting people out from the thing from the liquor and the weed dispensaries. So Quebec right now is like, and people don't have are just doing it. They're just like, this is what we got to do. What can we do about it? I guess that's what it is. And to me, that's nuts on the one side. But I mean, on the other side, I'm with you. What can you do? Because if it's everybody seems to still be supportive of these things. Like I still see people walking around with the mask. I still see people sanitizing regularly. I still see people social distancing and obeying all the rules that were asked to be followed at the very beginning of this thing, regardless of whether the numbers go up and down. And I mean people who follow the rules regardless of whether or not the numbers go up and down. At this point, it's close to a point where it's just like, I'm watching very closely. And if there's no pushback from anybody, like whether it be Quebec, whether it be, let's say they bring it here and we got to obey those rules in Ontario and there's no pushback, I'm honestly very, very worried about the future. Very, very worried about the future because it's one of those things where I feel like the government is like that 6-year-old child who just wants to see how far they can push you before you reach your limit. And then once they see how far they can push you, they're going to try to do that a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like is going to happen if something like this happens and we don't kind of push back. And I'm not just saying it because it's liquor and it's weed. That's not why I'm saying it. Because I know a lot of people will be like, okay, whatever, you smoke weed, that's all you care about, blah, 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 blah. I do smoke weed, but I know people I can get it from even if dispensaries close. So that for me, that's not a problem. My problem is they keep taking away certain things, even though people are vaccinated. This is not for me who's unvaccinated because I've already learned to just deal with the consequences of that. But for those who are vaccinated and when I already got their 2 doses and now things are being taken away from them, you're in the same boat as people who are unvaccinated. I would be pissed.
What I
I
would
would be extremely angry.
what I would say just to top up on that is, and you might think your comment about, oh, if I don't see any people resisting, I'm worried about the future. You might think based on our history, I'll probably start throwing out the jokes, conspiracy theorists, but I'm not going to do that. And here's why. Because what you said makes sense.
Right.
Obviously, with anything, if they keep tapping, the tap is going to turn into a slap. The slap's going to be a close. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So I think in any society, although you will have some people that will comply for one reason or another, and we've talked about it to death on this podcast.
I know
I
some people who already got their booster shots, like booked
and,
that shit and
but
got that shit
but
immediately.
like I said, that's fine. But what I'm also
Right.
saying is, in a society, you do need to have some resistance. You do need to have a group of people that can respectfully, but that's a broad word, push back. Push back, because it can't just be like, yes, sir. Thank you. Another one, please. You cannot have that, because if you do not have a resistance, if you do not have somebody that will check the government, check the police, check the physicians, whatever, then of course they're just going to do whatever the F they want. And for the most part, I believe that they're doing things with good intention. But that's not always the case. And why would it always be the case if there's never any resistance? Bro, if I'm in a relationship with a woman and she lets me walk all over her for a year, guess what the next 10 years of that relationship is going to be like? It's going to be a
Right.
doormat.
Right.
It might go from walking to stomping. I might step in mud on purpose before I get home. It will eventually get worse. So absolutely, I agree with what you're saying. There should be some resistance for
I'm
sure.
just saying, did the numbers go down when the liquor stores and the weed dispensaries were open before? Has it happened? It has. The numbers went down and the liquor stores and the weed dispensaries were open. So I don't see how they can prove to anybody that this is really going to affect any type of change unless they feel like they're going to be on lockdown for not that long, because this is not something that we can't go back into another 18 months in Quebec with the weed dispensaries and the liquor stores closed. I guarantee you that's a recipe for disaster. I don't give a fuck who you are or where you're from. That's wherever you are in the world, that's a recipe for disaster, because there's people out there that need those vices. And once they we can't have people detoxing on public streets. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I think we understand exactly what it is you're
You
saying.
you get what yeah.
Viewing public, especially if you are from Quebec, what's the dealio, man? I mean, what is really the dealio? How are you feeling about this?
They're the perfect
Because
example of just seeing how far you can. Let's see what else we can do.
yeah, this is not a maybe. This is
The
happening to
test
you
site.
guys. This
They're
is
the test site.
happening. So, I mean, I have no question. Leave it in the comment. Ontario, for the love of God. If you want to bring this here, in my opinion, figure out the schools first. All right.
They're gonna have to block off certain areas downtown.
Please, man. Everyone,
extra
listen,
extra police.
everyone has an essay. Okay. Everyone has Pablo that you could reach out to, or
I'm just saying though, like certain
or
there's
a
certain.
Rodney if you want your cess. We all got someone that you could reach out to.
It's
Okay.
true, especially on these people in these areas that I'm speaking about. They
This
probably have
is
multiple connections, or if they don't, somebody else does.
Rodney come through with a brick, like an
Tent
actual
life,
brick
tent
of
life.
cess. Leave it in the comments, man. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right.